Well, hey, everybody, welcome back to another week of the Fixate Binge Podcast. As promised, I have a very, very exciting episode. You've come to this podcast for the right episode. I promise you have. You will not be disappointed. Before we get to my two guests who join me from the other side of the United States on the East Coast area of this country, I want to talk to you very briefly about a couple things, very briefly, because I want to take full advantage of my guests' time because they are waiting in the wings. I had an opportunity to watch a wonderful film that's streaming on HBO Max. It just opened this weekend. It's if you're ever a fan of Emma Thompson, Sense and Sensibility Emma Thompson, Much Ado About Nothing Emma Thompson, any of the Love Actually Emma Thompson. This film called Dead of Winter is a completely unique performance from Emma Thompson. And if you're just a fan of Emma Thompson, it's well worth watching. But Dead of Winter is on HBO Max. I was bored. I put it on and I was floored, really floored. She was fantastic. So if you're looking for something, the money's a little tight this weekend and you're looking for something to just pass the time, and it's just a great, well-constructed thriller. Dead of Winter on HBO Max, streaming now, starring Emma Thompson. Not a waste of your time. The other thing is, I'm a little disappointed. I'm holding out because I intend to binge all of season two's The Pit. I'm trying my damnedest to avoid spoilers, but I already had a spoiler cross my path, which sucks. So I'm holding out because I intend to binge that. But anyway, this is neither here nor there. We had a weird week in Hollywood. We lost Robert Duvall, one of my all-time favorite actors. I think he's everyone's favorite actor. I think anyone who knows the craft of not stage acting, but film acting and film performances are universal in their acclaim for his body of work. He is such a brilliant man. A great light truly has gone out. He will be missed, but the best way to celebrate these great performers and creators is to continue to interact with their work, to watch their films, celebrate what they gave. And so for me, for my money, Open Range with Kevin Costner is one of Robert Duvall's finest performances. Love that film. Love anything he did, but that especially is one of his bright performances. But anyway, this is neither here nor there. I want to get to my guests. I stumbled upon a film that debuted on the Shudder app. Now, if you don't know what the Shudder app is, and most people by this point should, if you have AMC Plus, you get the Shudder app. It might as well just be AMC Plus. But there was a new film that popped up. It was called Mother of Flies, and I went into it cold, blind, no trailer, nothing. I went in and just figured, let me sit here with my bag of potato chips and veg out, maybe scroll on my phone if I'm not engaged. Well, I never scrolled on my phone. From the opening scene to the end scene, I was stunned by what I saw. And so I wrote a review. Then I reached out to the creators, and they join us from the Catskills of New York. Writer, director, a family of writer and directors, Toby Poser and her husband, John Adams, both of you with your daughter Zelda created this incredible film. Welcome to the Fixate Binge Podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks,
That
Joe.
was a super great intro. Let's do that again.
Feel so
Let's
bad.
do it one more time. It felt so good.
No problem. And there's no hyperbole. I mean, no exaggeration at all. I say that because if I seem energetic to my listeners, it's because I took the opportunity to watch the film again before we got into this podcast. So I've now seen it twice, and it holds up more than enough on a second viewing. And not all horror films do that, because a lot of horror films are like, I know the surprise, I know the axe around the corner, I know this, and yeah, okay, all the jump scares are ruined. This is not a jump scare movie. This is a psychological descent into the roots of horror, and I loved this. And I don't know, I don't know anything about your process, how you guys create and put things together, but you're a family of producers, writers, directors, actors, and I want to hear everything you have to share about how this came about. What was the first spark for Mother of Flies? Was it a leftover idea from some previous horror films that you've done that you thought, you know what, let's save that. That could be a great idea for a bigger film. Anyway, the floor is yours. I'd love to hear this.
I think we, well, I'll just shoot right to the bullseye, which is Toby and I both had cancer, and we both survived cancer. And it's played in our movies since our very first movie. We've been toying with it and mentioning it and playing with it. And to be honest, the horror community, which is incredibly open-minded and open-hearted, kind of gave us permission to make a movie about our experience with cancer. And luckily, the horror genre is a great way to talk about something that's super heavy, but make it, for us, fun, to
Yeah.
make it cinematic, and to go to all the dark and beautiful places. And you can do that when you make horror movies. And we loved making this movie. So in the end, this is not a sad movie or like a, boo-hoo us. It's more of a celebration of life and death, and the fact that they are lovers, they hold hands, and we are the hands.
Okay, first of all, that's a lot to unpack. First of all, congratulations for both overcoming cancer. It's cancer has touched not me personally, but it's touched my life. My mother-in-law passed away a couple years ago from a tumor. I think if you throw a rock in the air, it's going to land on somebody whose life has been directly affected by cancer. It's so unfortunately common, and it's amazing that you guys have turned the trauma of overcoming that cancer into something celebratory and fascinating and artistic. I got to ask, Toby, maybe I'm jumping around here a little bit, but your performance in this film, mind-blowing, fully committed. And we're going to talk about a scene that you appeared in, John, where I'm like, oh, he's fully committed. He's fully into that scene. You might know which one I'm talking about.
I
But
know which one you're talking
okay,
about.
okay. But Toby, holy cow, I'd never seen you in anything before, and so I didn't have any preconceived notions. I didn't have any expectations. And from the beginning scene in what looks like a pit full of dead and disgusting things, you're kind of having an incantatory, I don't know what's happening, but can you speak? I don't know. Where is there a specific question in this? It's in there somewhere, but I mean, please tell me how this performance came out of you.
Oh, well, thank you, Joe. That just makes my heart flop all over the place. Um, I loved playing Solvig. Solvig is a necromancer, but she's also, I consider, an incredibly modern woman. And you get to know, this isn't really spoiling anything, you get to know through the course of the film that she's quite old, like a few centuries old. And and so I think for an ancient woman, she's pretty modern and progressive. She's essentially using her magic to help this young woman who has a deadly diagnosis. That's Mickey, played by our daughter Zelda. But but Zelda's curse is Solvig's gift. So as we often see in magic, in narratives of witches and magic, there's a price. There's a price for a gift. And so for Solvig, you never really know whether she's good or bad, whose side she's on. And I love that in a character. I love that in a complex character. And I think in the history of witches, I think they're interesting because often they're portrayed as evil, but usually they're really just maligned because they know a hell of a lot, and they're condemned for their knowledge and their power. And Solvig accompanies all of that. So I just had a lot of fun. And within the canon of our work, we always build our own mythologies. It's something that we just enjoy to do. We're influenced by, we'll read about necromancy or strong women in lore like Kalima or Lilith or Hecate. And
Right.
then we just kind of make it our own, or we attempt to. And that was fun. Who doesn't want to play a badass witch? I had so much fun with her.
Holy cow. I'm so glad you brought Hecate. And most people don't pronounce Hecate correctly. They say Hecate, and they're wrong. So thank you. Lilith, of course, the first bride of Adam in the apocryphal story of the Garden of Eden. And you're right. Absolutely. Now that I think about it, I'm glad you said this. She is a very progressive modern woman because all the things that women have now in terms of rights and status was, I think, falsely categorized as witchcraft or sin all the way back to the Puritan days. And so, yeah, I think that's what it is. Patriarchal societies are very insecure about educated women, and that's why so many of them were not allowed to learn, they're not allowed to read. And if you found one that was learned and could read, you were very suspicious about them. And in some cases, I think Arthur Miller said it, probably did it best in The Crucible. They ended up getting accused of things they weren't guilty of ever doing. Um,
Yeah.
this performance from you and the writing is what I really want to talk to you about, because the three of you have a writing credit. So you, your daughter Zelda, and you, John, you guys wrote this together, produced it, directed it, and acted in it together. But how does that process of collaborating together? I mean, when disagreements come, like, I don't think the character is going to go this way. Like, how do you guys resolve that?
We've practiced true democracy, Joe. If we have three different opinions about how the scene should go, we have the luxury of shooting it three different ways because it's just us on the set. Unless we have other actors who are joining us. We are the crew. We're also the cast, and we shoot right outside our doorway. We live in the Catskill Mountains, so we shoot all on our property in the wilderness. So yeah, if we have different opinions, we shoot it three different ways, and then when John's editing, the one that serves the story best always rises.
Wow. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And I think that's one of the great gifts of independent film, independently financed film as well, is that you have the freedom to decide where you want your story to go, what you want your audience to see, how you want it edited, what the pacing's going to look like. Whereas these larger tentpole Hollywood blockbuster multiple producer films, it seems like their content is decided upon with committee and test audiences, and I get it because there's a lot of money riding on that, so it's all about getting the return on investment. But I really feel that, and this is not profound at all, but I really feel that the beating heart of original storytelling that's going to take risks and not play it safe is in independent film, and especially in horror. For anyone out there who's like, I don't really like horror, I don't really like sci-fi, whatever, I'm like, you're missing out, because those genres are taking, in my opinion, the biggest risks today. And I saw a lot of risk taking with Mother of Flies. I mean, you guys have done great. Sorry.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
You have a quote in this, and it's between your two characters, so this is perfect. And it stood out to me. It stood out to me this morning, so I paused it, I rewound it, I watched it again, paused it, rewound it, and wrote it down. I wanted to read it back to you, and I'm sure you'll remember the moment. It's fairly early in the film, and I don't think it's anything to spoil this, but John, your character is kind of a skeptic of Solveig. You're kind of the control in the experiment. You kind of represent the regular viewer, like, what is this? But Solveig says something to you. She says, death grows within her. And you're referring, of course, to your daughter, Mickey. Death grows within her, but miraculously, it's delivered her the meaning of life. But for you, it's delivered the fear of loss and stripped you of your faith. And that seems to just sit with you for a long time. Do you remember that moment?
We all remember that moment, because I think that is one of the things we wanted to talk about with this movie. And this goes right back to the day I had a big tumor in my neck, and I went to the doctor, and they pulled out the tumor, and they said, well, this was like on Thursday, and they said on Monday we'll give you a call and tell you whether you have cancer or not. And so, like, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all you do is think of the worst shit that's going to go down.
Right.
And so on Monday, phone rings, I pick it up, and he says, is anybody with you? And I knew I was in big trouble. And he said, yeah, so you have lymphoma. And at that moment, I found the meaning of life. And I was 25 at the time. And those words that he spoke hit me beautiful, because I said, I'm going to fight. I'm going to do anything I can to live. And if I live, I'm never going to miss a moment from right now till the day I'm not living anymore. And so that's what that line is about. That's just, that is about that. That's about, it delivers you the meaning of life. And I think anybody, it doesn't have to be cancer. It has to be it can be a car accident. It could be anything that kind of makes you face the idea of your death. But I mean, really face it, not imagine it, but be told this might kill you. And so it does, it gives you the meaning of life. And I still have that meaning of life. But the reverse side of that is what I saw it do to my parents. Because it worried them so much. I mean, you don't want to lose your kids. And so it's a very, very, so we just wanted to address that. And that's what my character plays, is the role that my parents played in my life, which was they're powerless and they're holding, but they want to hold you, but it's all you, it's like, it's this strange thing about being on a team. But in this case, it's Tim, because there's only an I in team.
Right. Yeah. That's brilliant. No, that's so insightful. I used to be into punk rock music when I was a kid, and I listened to the Dead Kennedys, which worried my parents. And
chemical warfare.
That's right. Yeah, it's like, like a holiday in Cambodia. So
let's do that.
Yeah, it's worried my parents. But Jello Biafra.
Oh,
Yeah, full pot. Yeah.
Watch out! You just touched the nerve. We love the DKs.
Oh man! My gosh!
Back to movies.
Oh yeah!
We love you, Jello. Be in our movies.
So Jello Biafra had this great. He had a spoken word album, and this was before Henry Rollins was doing it. Jello Biafra did it, and he had some really controversial sayings, but that's so punk rock of Jello Biafra, of course. And he said this line, and I've always thought about it, and it's echoed throughout my life. And thankfully, I haven't had to experience it personally. But he says, cancer cures everything. And then he goes on and makes his case. And I'm sitting here pre-diabetic, high blood pressure, early 50s, and I'm going, okay, well, maybe not cancer, but if I get that type 2 diabetes diagnosis, that will cure a lot of things. I'll suddenly be in the gym. I'll suddenly be eating right. That's right. So much of us wait for bad news to be the motivator. And I don't know where I'm going with this. It has nothing to do with your film, but that's just an idea. Okay,
I think
we'll bend it. We'll bend it back in. We'll graft it in, like an arborist. We'll actually cut off a leaf and we'll graft this back in. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting how you guys have turned an illness that you both shared, maybe not at the same time, but an illness that you both shared, into something that speaks to why are we afraid of facing death? Death has this stigma. And I love that your character, Toby, you seem to try to normalize death is a natural progression. It's a natural process. And we need to be fearless in facing it, and there is nothing to be afraid of. And if Zelda was here, I would say her character was fearless at a point and facing it, and that I think seemed a little frightening for you, John. Did your parents reach a point with you where they were just like, where are you drawing this strength from? We're worried for you. Did that ever? And that's deeply personal, of course, but
no, it's a great question. I mean, yeah, is the answer. I think, though, the most important thing that happened between me and my parents and like my family was the idea of being alone. And everybody was alone. We were a team, but we were alone, and I think what's really important about, you just said something about death. I think in the West, we're basically mostly Judeo-Christian, so we have a religious structure that gives us answers about what death is like and what heaven's going to be like, or what hell. But like, there's all these kind of answers. But if you don't have that religion, which I don't have, and I didn't come from a religious family, so that wasn't something that we could use. You have to make a relationship with death. You have to come to terms with it. And the worst way to deal with that is to be scared of it. And so you begin to make a relationship. And that's what this movie is about, is like it's personifying death through her character. And
Yeah.
not to give a spoiler away, but I mean, life takes your innocence. If you have, it takes everybody's innocence. You are born and you are innocent, and your innocence just drifts out into the river of life until you're no longer innocent at all. You're wise, you have knowledge, you've been had your ass kicked, and it's great. You know, we call it brutal. But we wanted to show that in fact, death is innocent and it holds your innocence. And so if you watch the movie, that will make sense at the end of the movie.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Thank you very much. I got to talk a little bit about the voiceover work that you provided throughout this film, Toby, because it was hypnotic for me. I wrote about it in my review. I go, there were parts of your narration where the writing, by the way, you must have, whoever wrote your lines, if it was you or John, or if it was a collaborative effort, somebody has a background in English lit and poetry and maybe transcendentalism or something. Oh, yeah, it's you. Because it was so intelligent and so smartly written, and your vocal delivery, I mean, the cadence, the rhythm, I wrote in my review that some of it wouldn't feel out of place in the Three Witches incantations in Macbeth. And I know they speak iambic pentameter. I'm not saying that, but some of it was poetry on the page. And I'm thinking, have you ever thought about maybe releasing some of that dialogue as poems? Because it sounds like literature. It's beautiful. And I just wanted to know your process. Yeah.
Thanks. Well, it was collaborative. We both have, like, I think, different styles we would bring to it. And we definitely wanted there to be a difference between the narration and the like diegetic spell work. There's usually like the within the scene, there's some kind of rhyme if she's saying a spell, whereas the narration it tends to be more prose.
Right.
But I do love poetry, and we've incorporated poetry into a lot of our films. Like the mythology is often portrayed through kind of old-timey poetry. It's just something we never get tired of. And in some of those spells, I wanted them to sound like, one of them I wanted to sound like Emily Dickinson, a rhyme like that, just a few lines long. I can think of which one it was maybe and recite it. But that was fun. And I love I mean, I love spoken word. And we
Yeah.
just we didn't actually infuse that into the film until the very end when John was almost done with the edit. We thought the film had earned the voiceover. We didn't want it to just be like, sometimes it can be cheap. There's a voiceover over something and it can be cheap in some films, and we didn't want it to be cheap. We really wanted to earn that. And so I'm glad that it worked for you.
It absolutely did. And you're right when it comes across as cheap in some films. Definitely not in yours. In your film, it elevated it. And it elevated it because what I was seeing visually, and a lot of the B-roll was just gorgeous. My favorite color of all time is forest green. And it was a feast for the eyes. Artistically, it was a feast for the eyes. The B-roll, close-ups on the flora and fauna. I think I even saw a clip. There was a close-up of flora and fauna. This had to have been unplanned. It looked like a spider went crawling across some of the plants in the foreground. It just started crawling. And I was like, oh, these guys are good. These guys are good. You've got sunlight coming through the trees. You've got these green plants filling the frame, and then you've got this spider or a bug, I'm not sure what it was, crawled right across the screen. I'm like, that was perfect. Anyway, I praise to the cinematography.
Big Daddy Longleg.
It was a bit okay, yeah. That was the thing, is that in some films when there is a reliance on narration to help the listener follow what's happening visually, it's usually a weakness. It's like, look, if you can't tell your story visually, then your writing is not going to help, right? I mean, but your film was like poetry. It was like a guidebook of poetry, a necromancer's poetic musings on the transitory nature of life and the beautiful stigma of death. And it was just, it was calming. in a weird way, because it's all about death. You see these decaying animals, you see flies, you're always hearing flies. And I was like, I gotta say, I kind of feel a little less turned off by death and decay now than I did before I watched your film.
Oh, it's great.
It's great. Then
great.
Solveig did her job well.
Yeah.
She did.
Thank you.
She's a little too good. Yeah.
It's also a good time to point out how great the horror community is to allow us to do that. You know, the horror community will watch a movie with poems in the middle of it. And it's something that we love about the horror community is their artistic open-mindedness that allows, you know, little people like us to be able to do that kind of stuff. It's really a great community to be a part of.
I agree. The horror community is fantastic. When it comes to independent filmmaking, they're incredibly welcoming. I will say this, though, they're brutal. Some of the community can be brutal. If your horror doesn't get it right, if you take shortcuts, if you cut corners or you phone it in, they're very perceptive. They call you out on it. They catch you, and it can be very bitter, a very bitter pill to swallow. Your film has been embraced. I mean, it has been adored. It is trending well on socials. It is doing well in terms of viewership on Shudder. You guys, I don't know if you have the numbers. I don't, but I always see it in brand new film or top films. I think that speaks loud and clear about your process and how well all the elements of your film came together. It's written beautifully, it's directed beautifully, it's acted wonderfully, and it is one of the best folk horror films I've seen, period, bar none.
Oh.
So
thank you so much. I mean, Shudder and its affiliation with IFC, who's been doing the publicity, they have a lot to do with it. But also going back to the community. I mean, so this is, I think, our 12th feature film, but it's maybe our like 6th genre film, at least. So people who've been kind of watching us have really been, they're so important to the arc of our, whatever you want to call it, its success, or our story is so beholden to the people who support us and encourage us to be who we are. You know, there's some people who definitely like, I want to see what they do with a big budget, which is awesome. That's great. Right. But then there are other people who say, I never want to see them with a big budget. You know, I just want them to, and so that's very encouraging for us when you're just little people like us who go from eating a sandwich to carrying all our stuff down the mountain and shooting within 10 minutes. It means a lot. And they've really been like wind under our wings for sure.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I appreciate that, and it's more than deserved. And there's no hyperbole in this at all. If you're listening to this podcast, you haven't seen the film yet, and you have a stomach for horror, that helps, and you're okay with it. This is a great film in the genre, a fantastic film. And I will say this, the thing that I was struck by from the first scene all the way to the end scene, and this will hopefully dovetail in your infamous scene here, John, is the verisimilitude, the realism. From the opening frame, we see you, Toby, in this pit covered in coagulate gore. Just you're like in a blood-soaked nightmare in this pit full of death, and it's and I'm like, that's not CGI. So, and then later,
and it's a naked 56-year-old woman.
That's right.
Hallelujah.
That's right.
We do exist.
Yes, good. I mean, it was a very I'm glad you said that, because I would say it was a very naked performance. It was a very raw, naked, and revealing performance without saying it. But it was brilliant. I was hooked by that. I'm like, yeah, there's no stunt double for that. I can tell that's Toby down there. There's no stand-in. And then you drink this tea, and I'm not giving anything away, but John, you drink this tea and have a very physical reaction to this tea. And you get sick and begin throwing up. And I watched you throw up, and I'm like, I have to turn away, because that's exactly how I throw up. I mean, I've seen some pretty disturbing horror movies and scenes, but I always felt the comfort of, but it's fake. It's simulated. It's not real. That's a prosthetic head. That's a prosthetic limb. But for you, I'm like, oh, I have to turn away. This is too real. I'm going to get sick if I keep watching. You look like you actually threw up. Am I right?
Yes, I actually did throw up, and it was good. Toby kept the camera rolling because once it starts, you know that old thing, like once it starts. So what happened was we love to make blood out of Hershey's chocolate syrup and Hershey's strawberry syrup because it looks really great. If you get the mix right, it's nice and dark, but also red, but it's also thick, so it's great blood. So I wanted to have a bloody puke, kind of like the way I've never done it, but apparently peyote, like if you eat peyote, you throw up for a little while and then you trip your ass off. So it was kind of like a reference to that kind of thing. And so I had the chocolate syrup, the strawberry syrup. I got a big mouthful of that, and then I had refried beans, and I jammed them in there. I took one swallow, and out it came. And it was great because Toby was running the camera that day, and it was just like you could feel it coming. I was like, okay, here we go. And then it just didn't. And we just kept filming, and it was great. But it's fun to do real stuff, that like it's not like somebody got their arm cut off or something like that. Yeah. But there's something about a scene like that that's super disturbing.
And it's and let it be known that I'm kind of glad that scene was in there, hearing a little bit about your both your personal experiences with cancer. And one of the themes is that this character has cancer, and we know that there's been some chemotherapy with the daughter, and we know that chemotherapy and that type of treatment makes you incredibly ill. Throwing up is very common, and certainly you guys would have experienced it. And even a line later on when your daughter says, how are you feeling? Are you okay? And you're like, oh, I threw up. But then you immediately like, I'm not looking for sympathy. I know you threw up when you were going through your thing. And I'm like, that's right. That's right. That's what people with cancer go through.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
So I'm glad that scene was in there.
First person to mention that. And like, that's what we wanted to do, is we wanted to have visual references to the cancer experience, to show the normalcy of kind of the terror or the horror of it, even though it's saving you, Right. And we also, I had chemotherapy and radiation. So in a sense, I had magic potions, just like, you know what I mean? Like, that's why we wanted to show this witch is basically a scientist who knows how to cure something with magic potions. And radiation is magic too. Like, I don't know what the hell is going on, but it saved my life. But Toby had the kind of cancer that they reach in and take it out. No chemotherapy, no radiation, just cut it open, take it out, you're done. And so we referenced those visuals in the film, just kind of for us all, to be like, we've all been through this, let's reference it and kind of show the heroism, not like we're trying to be heroes ourselves, but the heroism of all of us, of going through these kind of things.
Oh, wow. I'm glad you said that. Thank you. That is fantastic. I do have a personal story. It's my wife's story. Really quickly, they found a mass near one of her ovaries. It got to the size of a grapefruit, and they went and took a biopsy of it, and then we made us wait for 3-4 days. Well, we were only 10 years into our marriage, so we went to Vegas. We didn't sit around. We went to Vegas.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's what we did.
That is too beautiful. That's too smart.
Yeah. How'd you do when you were there?
We tried our best to have fun, and we did. I just said I don't want to think about it. We'll because obviously, if we get bad news and the biopsy comes back, you start chemo, and we don't know where that road will take us. So why wait to have fun? So let's just put our minds off of it and let's just go to Vegas. And we went to Vegas for 3 days. And came back, and
because life was a gamble anyway.
Yeah, it was. And then we came back, and it was benign. And then she had it surgically removed. And that's a different story. And we're fine now. But you have to live your life. And your film was very affirming. And the great thing about it is that there's a mystery. I mean, when I first watched it, I wasn't quite sure what the flashbacks were. I'm like, okay, so she lives in the forest, and there's these other weird people dressed similarly. And then we start, I mean, it was like an onion. There were layers coming off of this story as we went through. And I was like, oh, there's two stories within this. And just the structure of your story was so satisfying. And when we see the way it ends, and I believe the concierge towards the end is your other daughter. Is that right?
Yeah.
It
That's
is.
Lulu.
Our great.
Yeah, she was
Who's
great.
not home very often. She's and it always is great when she's around. Yeah.
That was great. And just pay attention to her part, because she delivers an important part in the film, which is, I mean, not to say that small parts don't have great impact, but her part was really enjoyable. I'm like, that's when the light went on when I first watched it. I went, oh my gosh. And now I'm watching it the second time. I'm like, how did I miss all the clues? It's like watching Sixth Sense for the second time. How did I miss Bruce Willis was dead all along. How did I miss it? You know, they're practically hitting me over the head with it, but it was brilliant. I thought I'd ask a little bit about what being on the Shudder app means for your family going forward. I mean, it feels, and you know, forgive me, I am not familiar with your previous film work, but I'm going to make myself familiar. But what does it mean for your family with this milestone reached in your career as producers, writers, directors, actors going forward? I'm really interested to hear, what do you do now? What comes next?
Well, we have loved being in. Our first film to play on Shudder was The Deeper You Dig, and then Hellbender and Hellhole were originals, and Mother of Flies. So they've been so great to us in many ways, because they really recognize that we are a family, and they embrace that. They don't just like gloss over it. They kind of love it, and they pump us that way. And they in turn are a family. So their Shudder is like a massive family that you can never not find something on there to watch. If anything, you're like, oh, what do I watch first? Because they have such a great like roster of films from every ilk. So it means everything to us. It really does.
Yeah, I think they've given us permission to continue being a family, making art together. Because to be honest, this is like our life. It's our life, and it's fun and it's joyful. And you know, I get to hang out with Toby, Lulu, and Zelda every day. And we talk about stories, and we shoot stories, and we laugh about them, and then we go to festivals, and then we do podcasts, and we meet people like you, and it's like this really beautiful existence. And they've allowed us and given us permission to just continue doing that. And it's really, really, really nice. And, you know, I love a big Hollywood movie, but as a creator, I love just hanging out with my family and making movies that have a personal small town touch. And so Shudder's given us permission to continue doing that, and we really like that.
I appreciate that, because you're right. What you said, what you both have said about Shudder, they just seem so inclusive. They seem welcoming. They seem supportive of independent work. Major, well-known horror films are nice, but they also are so supportive of the smaller market. And there's so much good horror that I think doesn't get its due, doesn't get its moment in the sun. And I have heard of Hellbender. Now I'm kicking myself, because I think it's in my queue of things to watch, but I just didn't connect it to. So I will watch that. So I'm just so glad. I am so glad to have met the two of you today. To my listeners or my viewers, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're probably looking at Toby's face, and she's got blood smeared on her face for this podcast. It's because they're filming something else, and they don't want to mess with this is not a domestic violence situation where we're not conducting the podcast from the ER. They've been fist fighting. Okay, fine. It's a sequel to the War of the Roses. No, none of that is going on. But I mean, I catch you. In other words, I'm so grateful that you took a moment out of your creative schedule with filmmaking and what you guys do best to visit this podcast. I've greatly enjoyed meeting you. I want to continue supporting what you guys do. If there's anyone in your orbit that's a creator or a struggling director that would love to come on this podcast, have me review their work, watch their material, I would be honored to do it. I genuinely wish you guys all the best going forward.
I just want to say thank you because, like you said, we're going to head out into the snow. The snow is coming down, but you've empowered us today with your great enthusiasm and your just beautiful energy. And we're just really glad that we're hanging out with you today. And now we're going to shoot off into the cold and shoot Toby with her black eye and her bloody lip. She's kicking butts in the movie that we're working on this winter. So thank you for the fuel.
Oh, the pleasure is truly all mine, and it's not me. Your creative energy, your artistic integrity has powered this. You guys emit a great energy when it comes to filmmaking because I've watched some of your behind the scenes, how you made this, how you did that, and it's so hands-on. You guys are so fully committed, and it's rare to see people with such joy in their work. And you guys you have this joy of working together. And it's one of the best examples of a family unit I've ever seen in entertainment. So inspiring.
Thanks.
you.
Well, your questions are wonderful. So thank you.
Yeah.
I think we both really enjoyed this.
Awesome. I enjoyed it as well. Well, listen, Toby and John, thank you both so much for interrupting your schedules today and setting aside some time to discuss the wonderful work in Mother of Flies. It's a film I think everybody needs to see. It is not a traditional horror film at all. It's life affirming, like you were saying earlier, John. It's life affirming, and it comes from, as this podcast has revealed in discussion with you, a lived experience that you guys both shared that has evolved into this wonderful folk horror film, which I really liked. And not a lot of films end in quite the tone that yours ends with, which is also interesting. And I don't want to give anything away, but I thought even the ending scene with you and your daughter with your arms folded in the office, I thought, great ending. Perfect. That's to put,
Awesome.
not to put too fine a point on it, but that is the exclamation point at the end of your film. Perfect. Perfect ending.
Thank you.
Yeah. To my listeners, you know that I always care an awful lot about your personal mental health, and it's something that I've had to take care of with myself through therapy and counseling, and I encourage you to do the same. Surround yourself with positive influences. To be honest with you, this podcast is a positive influence. My wife criticized me a couple months ago. It was constructive criticism. She wasn't writing my case, but she said, you're so positive in your film reviews. And I said, because I don't have time to target things I know I'm not going to like or things that don't appeal to me, and then dip my poison pen and trash it. There is a cottage industry for people who do that. I don't know how much time I have left, but I want to watch things that uplift me, make me feel good about myself, or things that impress me with the craft. And so I choose to stay positive. And so whatever you're doing in life, I hope that you are making a conscious decision to stay positive. It's very good for your mental health if you choose that. Anyway, we'll be back next week. I don't know what's happening next week for the next podcast, but we'll be back and it'll be exciting because I'll make it exciting or I'll die trying. So from me to you, have a great week. And again, you can watch Mother of Flies by the Addams family, comprised of John Addams, Toby Poser, and their daughter, Zelda Addams. Mother of Flies is on the Shudder app. It's trending. You will not have to look hard for it. It's right up there. It's streaming very well. And I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.